How you doing, folks? Welcome back to another episode. So I thought in this episode we go over just a little bit more about me and who I am. The real me, that is. The man behind the afro. My real name is Domini Dejanaba. I was born in Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to family on the East Coast. My mom and my 3 older brothers moved to Federal Way, Washington when I was about 4, when my parents got divorced. And we were in Federal Way until about my high school years. We moved to Tacoma, Washington. And because my older brothers both went to Decatur High School in Federal Way, I was super excited to go to Federal Way. I was super excited to go to Decatur because, the little brother, you want to follow in the footsteps of your bigger brothers. But when I found out I was going to a different school, away from my friends, away from the high school that my brothers are going to, throughout my high school years, I wouldn't say severely depressed, but I was depressed enough to where I was self-harming, and that lasted about 3 years of my high school career. And the only thing that got me out of it was talking with somebody who was also kind of going through something similar. And we kind of made a deal with each other that we would never self-harm again. And so that's what pulled me out of my depression and my self-harm, is just talking to somebody about it. You don't want to suffer with something like that. Any disorder that you are going through, somebody else out there is going through something similar. So just talk with somebody you feel safe with, and hopefully you can find somebody that can just get you out of how you're feeling. Other things about my personality: I'm an introvert, and a lot of people don't know about introverts is that we get our energy from being alone. A lot of people have the misconception that being introverted and extroverted, the only thing that means is you either like to be around people or you don't like to be around people. But the other component that you need to understand about being introverted or extroverted, that's how you gain energy. That's how you recharge your batteries. So I'm, like I said, an introverted person. And so even though I'm introverted, like I told you on the other video, I teach high school. And when you're teaching high school, when you're teaching, you have to be in front of a group of people. And so you would think, well, why is an introvert being a teacher? Even if you're an introvert, you can be the life of the party and still be an introverted person. You just have to recharge your batteries by being alone. So, a little misconception there that I wanted to clear up. So after high school, I went to Foss High School, by the way, in Tacoma. Shout out to the Falcons. After high school, went to Lacey, Washington, where I went to college, St. Martin's College, got my undergrad in mathematics, and then did student teaching, taught for a couple of years, and then went back to get my master's in teaching at St. Martin's again. Met my wife Haley at St. Martin's. She was a teacher too. That's who got me into teaching. Like, I had the idea of being a math major with a double major in mathematics and computer science, and then I have never taken a programming course before I declared that as my double major. And when I was programming, it was a lot of code that you would have to look after and create, and then if you missed one colon or one comma, the code doesn't work. And so that wasn't my thing. So I just kind of focused on my math, but I was thinking, well, what do I want to do with math? And then I found out that Haley was doing the education program there, and I said, well, hey, if I like to help people and I like math, let's be a math teacher. And so that is the path that I went on. A profound thing happened when I arrived at St. Martin's. So for those of you who, well, you probably don't know, St. Martin's, when I got there, was a small school. It was so small that the moment you drive onto campus to move into your dorm, not everyone in the school, but upperclassmen in the school, administration from the school, maybe even some teachers, people in the community, they help you move in to your room. So move-in took like 15 minutes because everybody was helping. And one of the resident advisors was talking to me as we were moving stuff in. She said, okay, where'd you go to high school? How was it? And I said, well, it was okay. And I was telling her that I didn't really have a good time in high school. I didn't tell her that I was depressed or anything. This is the profound thing she said to me that changed my life and changed my experience at St. Martin's. She said to me, high school is what you make it. And I was like, wow, you're exactly right. I only joined one club. I didn't try to do any sports. I hung out with the skaters in high school, and that's kind of what I stuck to. And so I was making the choice of not getting into anything and exposing myself and trying new things. So my high school experience is based upon my actions. So if you're kind of in the similar boat and you think high school isn't cool, you don't like it, try something you're not doing. You cannot get different results by doing the same thing. So if you say to yourself, I'm not having fun at this school, join a club. This school sucks. Create a club of activities that you like to do. Try a sport. Try something new and see if you still hate the situation that you're in. So anyway, profound words of high school is what you make it. I try to instill in my family and my students that you need to create the day that you want. There are some times where we're having a bad day simply because of the attitude that we're choosing to have. Okay. Somebody on Facebook said I was stupid. Well, who is that person? Who is that person to you? And why do you care so much? Move on. Create the day that you want to have. A couple years after we graduated, 2010, Haley and I got married. A couple years later, we had our first son, Anthony, our first child. And then a couple years after that, we had our first daughter, Nalia. And they are respectfully choosing to not have their lives and all that exposed and shown. So you won't see them on the videos that I have. Now we'll be doing some family adventure videos. And so you'll hear them in the background, but until they're comfortable being on camera, then, you know, I'm gonna respect their decisions. General interests, things that I love to do. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Started that around the time I got married. So about 2010, I was doing no-gi stuff for a couple years, and then I got into gi, and then kind of haven't really focused on no-gi, except when we do kids jits. And the reason I love jiu-jitsu, builds your confidence, because I'm working with 200, 250 pound guys, and I know how to take them down. That carries on to my life out into the real world. If people start set tripping around me, I'm not too bothered by that, because I know I got the moves majaga. So I feel like I can hold my own, especially being short. I'm 5'7", so usually if you're 5'7", and some guy who's like 6'4", 230 pounds comes up to you, typically the guy who's 5'7" is gonna be nervous. But like with jiu-jitsu, I have confidence, I know what to do. So not only does it build confidence, you're working out, you're getting exercise, but it's not just a repetitive thing. You're working different positions. At least at our gym, we're working a new position every other week. So it's nothing that gets repetitive. And you get to work out while you're having fun. You can't really ask for more. Skateboarding. I started skateboarding in high school, and probably most kids in the late 90s got into skateboarding because of Tony Hawk's video game. That's exactly why I got into it. But I had some rinky-dink board that was like a beaver bit into it one time. The bearings were shot, so when you did the little roll, when you slapped the wheel, it would move like for 1 second and stop. It was a hard knock life, I know. But skateboarding is another thing that was super fun. It was a good workout. Got you sweaty. And then you can also try to impress the ladies. I know when I was in high school, I would hang my skateboard. You have one wheel inside the pants pocket, so your board would just hang out next to you while you walked around from class to class, just looking to see if anybody was looking at you. Yeah, I'm cool. But haven't skated in a while. Washington isn't the best state to skate in, because it's raining a lot of the time, so you have to get your sessions in the summer. No, I haven't snowboarded, for some of you who are wondering that. I would really like to. And with me being around the mountains now, because I should have mentioned this earlier, we're in Port Angeles, Washington. Need to take advantage of the mountains that we're around, and I need to snowboard. And then I just got into reading. Like, here's how much I loved reading when I was little. Well, let me take that back. When I was in middle school, I loved reading because I read Goosebump books. I have a bin full of Goosebump books. Shout outs to 90s kids who know what I'm talking about right now. Goosebumps was legit. Kind of scary, you know, if you're a middle schooler or younger. But it was just the right amount of, we can get through this, and it's not overly graphic. It was like PG scary, and it was beautiful. R.L. Stine, for those of you who are interested. So anyway, I love reading Goosebumps books. And then I think in high school, they made you read specific books. And then that was like boring. So I'm like, no thank you. So here's what I did, because we had book reports in high school. Don't tell my high school teachers this. Mr. Ford, if you're watching, please forgive me. I would play video games and I would just title the video game as the book title and then write a review of the video game that I played. Now, if you're a student, especially if you're one of my students, don't do that to your English teacher. Read. It's a valuable tool. I like to read now. And I'm going to talk about Audible in another video, but I've been doing audiobooks because a lot of my time is spent doing other stuff, and so sitting down and reading a book is not as advantageous as me listening to a book when I can do some dishes, clean the house, mow the lawn. So Audible's the way to go. Best investment. It's the best investment I've made for myself. $16.95 or something a month, and I get a free book every month. Hands down, something that everybody needs to do. And then last but not least, one of my favorite loves is anime. And I was just talking about this in the other video. Big fan of Naruto. Favorite character is Itachi. And then Dragon Ball, classic Dragon Ball Z. I'm finishing up Dragon Ball Super on Crunchyroll, and then I'm going to finish up Shippuden and start Boruto. And then what's the other anime that I like? Oh, Pokemon. Hello. Still playing Pokemon Go. My family. Oh yeah, my son's watching Pokemon, and so we're catching up on all those episodes. And then cosplaying. I'm gonna do a video on SakuraCon, because I go to that every year. So I'll be doing a video in April about cosplaying and then showing you around SakuraCon. So definitely stay tuned for that one, because that one's gonna be fun. But that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you've learned a little bit more about me, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope you remember to smile because you are beautiful. And I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.